Hey Celeste, it's been a
Hi.
while. How you
Been a minute.
been? I
Mm.
know that's a loaded question.
People who
Uh,
know, I mean, I made it very public, but this has been the worst year of my life. But we're getting through it. It's, more hits keep coming on the macro scale as opposed to my personal life. But you know what? You get through it. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. So all I can do is um, soldier on, right? And I think I'll probably do a video soon, kind of talking about what I want to do with this project and with this venture. But I think the best thing that I can do right now is to continue to be myself in public and show
mhm.
people that it's okay. You know, um,
I think that's great. So people
yeah,
that
I
don't
don't know.
know, Celeste de la Cabra, we were trying to figure out the last time we talked, and it's been a minute, been a hot minute. We did a
Well,
Criterion Now
publicly
episode.
anyway. Yeah.
Well,
Hmm.
publicly, yeah. We talk privately all week. We talked. We've been giving each other therapy,
Uh-huh.
but you have your YouTube channel,
Hmm.
and you have a great Patreon Discord
Thank you.
community. Really proud to be part of it, and
I'm
it's
proud of it
actually
too.
enhanced my life, like seriously. So thank you for
Well,
that.
thank you for saying that. That's really sweet. I'm glad that
Yeah.
it has helped people because I don't know. It's just it really does seem to be helping a lot of people. I've really worked hard to curate a space that people can feel safe and included and comfortable. So yeah,
Yeah, very
I'm
much
glad.
so. I know you've had a tough year, and you took a little break, and we look forward to having you back. We have you're back right now, but having
Hmm.
you back on the platform, and
Hmm.
getting back into that stuff. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to like be prescriptive on what's healthy for Celeste, but I know if I were in that same shoes, I would want to like watch some movies and nerd out on that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's therapy.
yeah.
If you don't mind, I just want to. So we're recording this on November 9th, and one of the things with Sin and Journeys, Jill and I have been very deliberate about like not really getting into politics, and it's not like we have. Well, the way we have it worded on our website, we can't like just put bubble wrap around everything and like pretend
Hmm.
things don't exist. Like we are we are citizens of of this country. You and I are
Hmm.
not all of our subscribers, but so the ones that aren't citizens are asking some questions too. Um, and we talk about film, and we talk about, and we're about to talk about horror films, modern horror films, which are very much. We'll see what you think, but I think we're in the middle of a new wave,
I think so too. Yeah.
and the films are very. We'll see some of these as we talk about these, but they're very reflective of the current reality, and I think that's a good thing. So, spoiler, I saw the TV Glow, which I think is what's one of my
Hmm.
favorite films of the year, but it's not apolitical. So,
Yeah.
and I think that going forward, because of this election, I think we can't really. So we don't want to have like political debates, and that's not
Yeah.
because we don't
Hmm.
respect people or their views. Like, of course, I respect your views. I respect, well, not every, no.
Yeah.
But I just don't
Yeah.
want that nonsense, that mess. So,
Uh-huh.
so we
Sure.
just we leave it in the context of the films, just to
Right. I think
so
it's fair that you don't want to host like a C-SPAN fucking type of like political discourse channel. I mean, I have that space in my community, but because it's important to me. But like also I think our mutual friend Will Dodson said this in the most
yeah.
succinct way I think I've ever heard it. Like somebody was giving him grief over being too political, and he was like, "Hey, man, films are about stuff, right? Like, I don't think you can
Yeah.
have an honest analysis, especially of art house or horror, without addressing
Hmm.
the themes and the ideas and the political context of the films. Horror, especially, I think, is reflective on like
Hmm.
it works because people are afraid of certain things at certain times. Like the idea that you would look at Invasion of the Body Snatchers and have an apolitical read on something like that,
Yes.
or really any number of films like
Night of the Living
um,
Dead, the first one.
Night of the Living Dead. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
huge. Right now, I'm going to see Nora Monday, so that's top of mind. But Sean Baker, we actually use him as an example because he, there's been some controversy with him, but I think that's a little bit overblown. But he does make stories about people and about
hmm
human stories, and so yeah, he's very successful now, and he's
hmm
going to influence others hopefully to make. I don't know if you're a fan of his, and it's not
I
about
am.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I'll be seeing that hopefully tomorrow. something like that. It's that and Memoir of a Snail are competing for my what can I see as soon as possible list, you know.
Nice.
But I saw Heretic last night. I had some issues
Oh,
with it,
nice.
but I really
Okay.
enjoyed it, and like that's a deeply political
Mm.
film steeped in social discourse. Um, I wore my Salo shirt for a reason. Like it's
Wow, nice.
unfortunately extremely relevant today. I think
Yeah.
I'll be rewatching it soon, and it'll be a hard thing, but I think it's important. And this is an Italian film. It's not just about American politics. Like politics affects everybody, even though,
Oh, yeah.
like,
It's about
even
history. Yeah.
outside, yeah, even outside of the fact that like people tell me or all the time, like, hey, I'm not American, but like y'all, what y'all do affects everyone. Like it's not just about you, but
Oh,
also
yeah.
like
Yeah.
Italian fascism in Salo, like what the ideas being explored there, they are transferable to today and
Hmm.
to American history and to the future. Like to be unconcerned with world politics or history as a cinephile is genuinely baffling to me. So that's
Yeah.
just not how I understand what we're doing here. But people do things different ways, and that's fine, I
And I'm
guess.
glad you shared the Will quote. Will is really good at
Hmm.
turn of phrase, and you're right.
Hmm.
So Salo, I think Salo is a masterpiece, and
Me
in
too.
fact, Kent is leading a journey. Now he's doing a Pasolini a month because it really. I don't know that Pasolini's a binge watchable director. So yes, my year is planned out, and he's having people lead each film. Lead the discussion, kind of moderator. That's what we're talking about, or what we're calling it. And so I volunteered for Salo because I think, well, first off, I've seen it 3 times. I've had people tell me you're a sick person for having seen that 3 times. And I'm like, I don't think that's, I think you have to understand cinema,
Uh-huh.
the shock is worn off. It's more about, seeing the camera blocking or, what he's trying to say, who are these people? And, what is this resistance? So yeah, I can't wait for that, even though it's going to be Thanksgiving next year. So I got a while. No jokes. But
Lots
anyway,
of feasting all around.
yes,
you know?
yes, we are going to have quite a meal. What's funny is it was going to
Indeed.
be December, and I was like, do we want a salad Christmas? And it's like, okay, we'll move it to November. And I was like, is that any better? So there will
Salad
be
claws.
Santa Claus. I like it. Um, all right. Well, Celeste, thank you, by the way. So
Of course.
we,
Thank you for having me.
I love having
You,
you.
by the way, were the very first person to invite me on a public platform before I even had a YouTube channel. So
Wow.
you gave me a taste
Ah.
of the good life, so to speak, and now I'm here. So I appreciate it. You giving me
You
that first chance.
You are not the first one to say that. I don't go around being like, "Oh yeah, I made Celeste, I made Jade Eves," but there are a lot of really
You can
great
say that. It's
people.
fine.
Oh, I made. I
You have
birthed
permission.
Celeste
There you go.
Delica. No, but the thing is, you were just in our Facebook, and we just enjoyed talking to you. We were like, yeah, let's
Hmm.
talk to her some more, and we didn't really know, how great and awesome you were, and now everybody knows. So
Well,
I will
thank
take
you.
credit for that. But yeah, Celeste, you are a horror expert, and I'm really not. I like horror. I love horror actually,
Hmm.
but so we just got through spooky season. So I did make an effort to watch a lot of horror films, and
Hmm.
through that, well, we talked about the slant 21st century horror list, and we
Hmm.
had some quibbles with it. I mean,
Hmm.
that's the case with every list. But I thought if I'm going to criticize and I don't have a list, then I don't really have a leg to stand on. So I went ahead and made my own list, which was quite tricky. So
Yeah,
you haven't seen it, and so
I have not.
since you're a horror expert, I asked if we could go through it and just talk. Now, there's 100 films, and we don't have 5 hours, so
Uh-huh.
we'll go pretty quick. But
I'll try to be brief. It's not
well,
my specialty, but I'll do my best.
I might have a pee break, but I might have a digression or two. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm curious. I know you're not a judgy person, but still, I'm. It's a vulnerable position for me to expose this to you. So, with that
I
in mind,
I would never be like, "Oh, that is wrong." I mean, if you
I
have
know.
if you've thought about it and you have a good reason for it, like people can just I'm not interested in like arguing over what film is like subjectively better. Like that's not what I do. Like I'm interested in like why
Yeah,
does this connect with you and like what did you get out of it, you know? That's just
that
way more interesting to me.
that's a
So
great
I'm
take, and
very excited.
I am too. And I'll give you one example. Well, actually, two examples. So, the one thing with consensus lists is I think just by nature, it's a struggle. It's a difficult
Mm,
process because,
mm-hmm.
first off, people know what's eligible, all that. So on the slant list, one thing we noticed was the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari was kind of low. And we thought, that's a pretty pivotal film. Um, and then Mulholland Drive, they counted as a horror and they had it low, but that's probably because not everybody knew that it was, because I think
Yeah,
if
it's
it's on the
borderline,
list,
you know.
it's yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I,
it's not perfect, but of course, I do hope that you get to the end and you're like, Aaron, this is the best list ever. So
we'll
that's the
see.
validation I'm looking for. But yeah,
I
be
appreciate you
honest.
deeming me a horror expert. I don't know about all that, but it is my primary interest, and I guess it is the genre I have the most expertise in. So I guess we'll see, but
I
we'll
think
see.
well, I wouldn't be bashful about that. I think you definitely have the bona fides, as they say.
Oh, thank
So
you.
um, and also you've looked at like a lot of vinegar syndrome. I can't even say
Hmm.
it. Vinegar syndrome releases over the years, and those are for
Yeah,
the most part cult horror. So
deep cuts. Yep.
deep cuts, yeah. So anyway, these are all 21st century, and I do have some blind
Nice.
spots. So
Me too. I'm like worried. Part of me is worried that we're gonna get through this and I'm not gonna have seen like half of this list, but we'll see. We're off to a good start. So
I almost bounced this. I don't love the Grudge series. I like it's one of my least favorite, but it's
uh-huh.
important, I think. So I put it on there. Oh yeah, I didn't write essays for each one, but because
Uh-huh.
does anybody really read those?
Uh,
Celeste, do you read those on lists?
I probably would, yeah, but that's okay.
Okay. Maybe I'll come back
The
to it.
Grudge, I need to rewatch it because when I first watched it, that opening 10 minutes was some of the scariest shit I'd ever seen. Like I actually was like, this might be too much. We might need to take a break. Like I watched it with my ex-girlfriend and I was like, are you okay? Should we take a break? It's pretty intense stuff.
It
I
is,
think it's one
yeah.
of the scariest films I've ever seen. It's got really great, memorable imagery in it. I'm a fan.
Yeah, it is scary, and actually, that's really the death rattle, the throat. I can't do it. I could do it with
Mhm.
mouthwash, maybe, but what one thing I found is
Vocal
that it
fry.
does There you go. Ghost vocal fry. It doesn't really hold up to rewatches. Like once you know that's coming, but
Hmm.
and the structure, yeah. I won't get into the films, but this one actually I didn't love the first time, but it kind of snuck up on me, and I think maybe that was kind of like remake bias.
Hmm.
So yeah, this
I've
was
actually not seen it, but I'm a fan of the director, and I've heard nothing but good things about it from at least people I trust. Quick story, just because I haven't seen it, I don't have anything else to say, but like, it's near the top of my watch list. But I
okay.
saw oh my gosh, what's his name? Claudio Simonetti, the guy from Goblin. I saw him do the
Oh,
live score
nice.
to the original Suspiria. And at the beginning, he had a little jab about this. He was like, don't worry, it's not the remake. It's the beautiful Dario Argento original. I'm like, well, he didn't have to say that, but whatever.
Yeah, I think they're really two different films. I don't think
Hmm.
they're, and I think the best remakes are when they don't really care about, they don't really try to be
Yeah.
what they try to be something different, their own thing. And yeah, this does not look like anything in the original Suspiria. But
Hmm.
Goblin is awesome. We had a music league, and I submitted a Goblin song versus actually the score. So Teeth. Um,
So far, we're literally going back and forth. I've seen it. I haven't. We might end up at a clean 50%. We'll see. Teeth is
I,
fun. I like it.
Teeth is a blast. I wanted to put it higher, but yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it. So I haven't seen it since around the time it came out. I think
These
by
kind
the
of
time,
these two
right,
kind of work together in a way, I
yeah,
think.
they do. Yeah, really, that's one thing I liked about the remake is I thought there was for a film like this there was a little more agency in the character,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe I'm mistaken because it's been a little bit, but yeah, I thought the performance in the remake was actually really great. So
I haven't seen the remake, but I will defend the original. I think the original is actually very important and very good and
I
pretty
totally agree.
defensible. So yeah.
Like a lot of 80s horror, it was maligned when it came out, but kind of found
Mm-hmm.
a following. I don't know if you've seen Nanny. It's on
I haven't.
Criterion.
Yeah, it's
This
one that I've been wanting to. I love films made by marginalized people. And
Mhm.
when that intersects with art house and that intersects with horror, like we're talking about the three things that I love the most in cinema. So it's definitely one I need to check out.
This is well. First off, we have an episode recorded with the person that produced this film, or
Nice.
I don't. You know how that goes. One of the producers. I don't know how many this one had, but really cool. Daniela Lundquist. She has a middle hyphenated name, and I'm sorry, I don't have that. Didn't remember that, but she was. We had a great conversation, so I look forward to that coming out. And she's not a horror person, so she actually, I think her producing this is says something. But
Mm.
but this one is it's kind of like an art film, but it has horror elements. So
Hmm.
I don't know if I'd call it a horror film. I mean, it works for this list, but
Sure.
because it's a great character story, and
I'm
sometimes
a
that's
I'm a big fan of horror as an umbrella term. I think most
mhm,
adjacent films you could probably I'm not going to get mad at it, you know.
yeah. It's not like they probably didn't write the script and say, okay, we have this art film, let's make it horror. I think
Hmm.
they use horror elements to like add color to the story. So
Hmm.
yeah, works. Shadow of the Vampire. This again is one I hadn't seen in a while, but I do remember that. That I guess that's a shit-eating grin. Well, a blood-sucking grin, I guess. Defoe. Have you seen this?
Nope,
It's been a
this one has missed me too. I was at a horror marathon recently that was all on 35 millimeter, and they also show trailers on 35 in between the films, and they showed the
oh
trailer for
nice.
this, and I was like, that looks like a blast, but no, I haven't seen it yet.
It's really cool. So yeah,
And
I'd put that on
speaking
your
speaking
yes.
of that marathon, they showed this one at last year's marathon, and I actually really don't like this film, but I do think it's interesting, and I wouldn't begrudge anyone for liking it. I
Part of
can't
this
tell
is
you
like
why I don't like it without spoiling it, but I think this film is
yeah.
extremely homophobic. That's all I'll say.
Oh, interesting. Okay, it's been a few. Well, I saw this actually. Dating myself, I saw this. I was a critic. I got a press screening for this one
Hmm.
when it came out. Actually, before it came out. And the thing is, this was like in the beginning of the new French Extremity,
Hmm.
and so I don't know that I've seen it since then. So yeah, if I next time I watch it, I'll keep that in mind. I know
Yeah, I'll
people
tell
have
you.
problems with the ending.
Yes, that's kind of yeah. But I'll tell you this: because they show stuff on 35 millimeter prints, they don't always get to pick what language it's in. So that I watch the English dub, and I would like to
Oh,
watch it again in its original language, knowing what's going to happen and kind of analyzing it
hmm,
without the kind of, I guess, big. Because twist endings are kind of hit or miss in terms of how well they hold up. Like sometimes it could actually be better the second time because you're
hmm,
anticipating certain things and looking for certain things. It's definitely on the rewatch list. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's terrible.
right.
I had a negative reaction to it the first time I saw it.
It was very influential as far as like the gore,
Hmm.
gore
Hmm.
and art, art type of photography, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw the
yeah.
French. I haven't seen the English dub, so I can't really speak from
Hmm.
experience. But yeah, I thought it was worked in French, but yeah, I usually never watch the English dubs.
No, I don't
Not
either. I wouldn't have been my choice, but prints are
yeah,
what they are.
they are what they are.
Barbarian, I
But
love. Big
it's
fan.
fun.
One of the
I
first
mean,
analyses I
fun.
did on my, I think it's fun. It's one of the first big analysis videos I did on my channel, and
Oh,
a lot of
nice.
people found my channel through that video. So I have a bit of a personal connection to this film too.
I'll have to find. We'll find that and put that in the notes. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Um, So Pontypool is one that actually that's grew in on me over the years.
Hmm.
You seen it?
I have not. It's another one on the. There are a few podcasts that I listen to, and I try to watch all the films that they cover before I listen to the episodes. And the Faculty
No.
of Horror did an episode on this, so I've been meaning to see it for a minute. I know it's like a Canadian cult classic sort of thing. It's on my Plex server. I went ahead and put it there, but I haven't seen it yet.
It's yeah. It's basically one location. This guy's essentially Howard Stern. It's Howard Stern attacked by zombies. So, but they do a good job with it. It's
Intriguing.
yeah. All right. This is actually this one I've lost. I've kind of 91 is still a good placement, but I've kind of
Hmm.
like soured on Donnie Darko over the years. So maybe it's time to rewatch it. I don't know.
This was a very influential film for me in high school.
Hmm.
And I rewatched it probably 2 years ago, and I actually liked it even more. I think it's one of my 10 out of 10s, which I don't have very many of. I
Wow.
think it's
Okay.
kind of a perfect film. I love it, but I know that it is a little bit polarizing, and it's also, I think, horror adjacent. Like I
Yeah,
could justify
that's
putting this
another
at the
thing. Yeah.
bottom of a horror list or at the top of a horror list.
Well,
Depending on how I'm
voila.
feeling.
91. So it's at the bottom. I just watched the Teenage Paranoia trilogy from not Paranoia, but Teenage Apocalypse trilogy by Greg Araki, and
Mm-hmm,
James
mm-hmm.
Duvall is the bunny in Donnie Darko, and he's the really the lead in all three of those films. But I recommend those.
I love Gregor Rocky so much. Totally Fucked Up is great.
Yeah,
One piece of kinship I feel that him and Donnie Darko have is a great taste in music and a wonderful
the
soundtrack.
music's amazing. Oh
Yeah.
my god! And the thing is, like everybody's like, he's a shoegaze director, but no, there's industrial, there's
Hmm.
goth, there's so much amazing stuff. And you can tell, like, well, shoegaze, Blue Sky and Cleared is at the end of one of his
Nice.
his films, and it's just he just uses it so well. I think that's a
Yeah.
great talent.
My last
I don't.
note on Donnie Darko is I'll say that the needle drop for Level Tear Us Apart is one of my favorite needle drops ever. It's just
It's a good one, yeah.
it just sticks with me at least, you know.
And this actually popularized The Killing Moon again. In fact, I think
Yeah, another great one,
yeah,
man.
it was a hit when it came out, I think, but people really really became fans through Darko Battle Royale. So this is a little bit of a cheat too. I don't know if it's horror, but it's
I think it probably is. It's a huge blind spot for me, but I have seen the first 10 minutes and then I ran into some technical difficulties and just didn't get back to it. But yeah.
This is I don't know how I feel about The Invisible Man. It's a code movie. By the way, I should mention, if people, this is probably a better video to watch rather than a podcast because we're not reading the
Yeah.
titles. But The Invisible Man, yeah, I'm actually second guessing myself.
I think it's great, if that helps. I saw
Okay.
it relatively recently and I thought that it was a really clever kind of post Me Too take on it's a great example, I think, of a remake that takes an idea or like a seed of an original, but doesn't attempt to replicate it, attempts to take that idea and do something
Yeah,
unique and
that's fair.
original with it. Um, really cool kind of feminist horror film. It's not perfect, but I think it's actually really, really effective and well made.
I think it has that COVID stigma because it came out during the early pandemic. So
Mm-hmm,
maybe
mm-hmm,
I just don't associate that with great memories.
mm-hmm.
This one was a little bit of a leap in some people's eyes. I'll share that Daniela also produced this, and she had no influence in the list, but it was cool to be able to have two films of hers on the. I just happen to have two films, but I do like this film a lot.
I've not seen Under the Silver Lake, so that's a
Okay,
blind spot for me.
blind
Now
spot for you.
this
Mm,
next one, I actually watched recently, and I had a strong feeling it was going to be here. This is a great
yeah,
film. Yeah.
it is a great film, and I actually, if anything, I feel like it's too The Wailing. I guess we should read the
Hmm.
titles.
Yeah,
um,
probably.
The Wailing, 2016. The thing is, there's so much of it in this. Like there's
It's yeah.
like it's a big movie. It's a long movie, but it doesn't. It's like procedural mysticism, horror. There's
Hmm.
different. There's obviously a Japanese character, and yeah. So I think it's a great movie. If anything, I think that this could grow in my appreciation over the years.
Hmm. It is so long, but it is so engrossing. Like it's paced so well, and the script is so jam packed that like it almost
Hmm.
feels like it could be broken up a bit, but I think it really works the whole way through. My only note for it is that I think there is an interpretation of the film that is just straightforwardly xenophobic, but I'm not
Hmm.
sure. I think that requires more knowledge of South Korean culture vis-a-vis Japanese culture. Like we could be talking about a comment on colonialism and on imperialism, or we could just be prejudiced. It's actually not entirely clear to me what is going on there. But
That is a great take, actually, because we don't know. I was watching this, and I'm interested in culture and global affairs, but there's a lot that I just couldn't process, and that's
mhm,
on me. I'm not Korean,
yeah,
or Japanese,
yeah,
so yeah. It's sometimes like the commentaries help. Like for example, A Brighter
sure,
Summer
yeah, for
Day.
sure.
The
Hmm.
commentary. I mean, like I don't know Taiwanese history to that degree,
Right. Hmm.
but yeah, great point. I would love to watch or learn more about the culture around this
Yeah.
film and the
Hmm.
mysticism. I don't know much about that at all. So
Yeah. I will say last note on that is that like it's like 2 hours, 20 minutes or something like that. And I started it
yeah.
probably too late. In the last 30 minutes, I was actively like, I should go to
Hmm.
sleep, but it was so edge of my seat. I was just like overriding that. I was like, absolutely not. I have to finish this.
Yes. Don't start
So
that at like,
great, great script.
10, 11, depending on your
Hmm.
bedtime, 8 if you're
Hmm.
at, early morning. High Life. I'm actually happy that this is here. I love Denis. And science fiction horror.
Mm.
There's not too many good ones. I don't know. Do you like it?
I've not seen it. I'm not familiar with it really at all. I don't think I should check it out.
All right. There you go. I'm actually thinking
This one's a
Barbarian should.
blast.
It is, but I like this a lot. But yeah, I almost want to like rethink and move Barbarian up. So
It just goes so hard.
Malignant.
Like, I love the idea that James Wan, we're talking about Malignant, yeah. I love the idea that James Wan made $1 billion on Aquaman, and then he was like, give me money. And then he made this. It's just like this nasty, weird, just triple down on like making genre films. I think that this is maybe, I should think about that take for a second. I was going to say it's maybe my favorite film of his, but I forgot about Saw. Saw's probably.
Well, I think he has one more on here.
Cool.
Fun fact, well, and it's not Saw. It's not anything from the Saw franchise. Fun fact, and this will be quick, but I actually met James Wan and Lee Wanell at
Nice.
the press screening for Saw for the first one. So it was like 2 weeks before it came out, and they were just these young kids, and I was too. I was a young kid. I'm still young, but I'm not a kid anymore. But we went to the bar and we had drinks with James Wan and Lee Wanell, and they were just kind of
Nice.
coming to terms with the fact that they might be, on the precipice of having a major hit, and we know now. But good dudes, and they really love film. I mean, they love the craft, so I'm happy they're doing well.
It's like hanging out with Radiohead before Pablo Honey comes out or something.
Yeah, maybe before OK Computer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I think they want to disown some of Pablo Honey. But
I was gonna say the Bends, but I mean, Pablo Honey was still such a big hit, even if it's not looked at fondly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Bends had Just, and I think they were very proud of Just because it had so many 25 chords or something. Krampus 84. It's fun. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, to be honest, but it's fine. Like, I was just hoping for more. It's very PG-13 horror. Like, it's
great point. Yeah, great point. And maybe that might be why sometimes there is something to that. This one is certainly not PG-13 horror. El Conde 2023. So have you seen this one?
Not yet, but it's like a Mexican film, right? It's like a gothic vampire thing. Like, it looks like exactly up my alley. And I wanted to catch it in time for the Oscars because I thought it was really cool that it got a nod over there, but didn't catch it in time.
Yeah, it's Pablo Larraín. So if you've seen some of his, it really just reading the premise. Like, I think it probably is up your alley because it's basically just an art house history, like alternate history film with horror elements, and like it's crazy. I'm not gonna lie, and not everybody's gonna like it, but I just think it was so beautiful. First off, I mean, you can just see in the screenshot. I mean, the photography is amazing, and I think it got a nom for cinematography. I forget who did it. It was Lackman, wasn't it? Ed Lackman.
I'm not sure, but yeah, I think it was cinematography.
82. We need to talk about Kevin. This is I don't know.
I adore this film. I think it is incredible. Lynn Ramsey is one of my favorites, and this is just, oh man, I don't know. I've seen it twice. I could watch this anytime, honestly. I think it has so many interesting and challenging ideas in it. There's so many memorable sequences, so many good performances. Like Ezra Miller, I know they're going through it right now, but they really turn in an incredible performance in this film. Like, man.
And thanks for pointing, the pronoun. That's again, we talk about how we don't want to be political, but we want to call people what they want to be called. We want to people to be comfortable.
I know that they're like not a great person these days, but like you don't get to call like people a slur if they do bad things. You know what I mean? Like that's a separate thing. So
exactly. I mean, you can call them a shithead if you want.
Yeah, sure.
But just call them. So anyway, I this is one of those. Is it horror? Is it not? I mean, I think at the root, it's about the horror in the human spirit. So this one, I don't know if you've seen this. 29 Palms. Speaking of,
I have it, but I have not seen it yet. I know it's supposed to be pretty brutal. So
it's one I can't say much about. It's kind of like Audition, like, watch the first hour and you'll have no idea what's coming in the second hour. So it's good. All right, this one, Talk to Me, is number 8, 2022. It's with the what do they call it? I'm putting my fingers in the screen. The hand, yes. What'd you think of Talk to Me?
I saw this one in the theater and it was pretty packed. So I feel like that was a good atmosphere for it because it was just a lot of teenagers having fun with like the new horror movie or whatever. And like, to be honest, I don't like saying this. I think it's a little overrated. Like, I didn't quite get into it the way other people did. I think it is maybe a little bit thematically shallow, but I do think it is aesthetically very effective and very scary and very violent. Like
Hmm.
there's like especially the sort of flashback, not maybe not a flashback, but the kind of visions into the less than desirable place that some of these characters end up in is
Yeah.
really effective and disturbing. I think it's good. Like I think it's
Yeah.
pretty. It's nice to see an original horror film take on like this when it's actually good. To me, it's like a solid 7 out of 10. I think it is not my favorite of the year or anything like that, but I do really enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably 7 out of 10. Is I think that's area here. I imagine it would be a lot of fun in a crowd.
Hmm.
And I like the concept too. I mean, some weird concepts. I won't talk about it, but there was one I watched the other day that it's like the concept was a little too out there. Well, okay, I will share. Well, no, actually, I won't share. Maybe I'll share after with you
Okay.
afterward. Us, 2019. So obviously,
I
this is.
Yeah, I love
No,
this
go ahead.
film so much. It was, you know what? The more I think about it, the more I think that Nope might be better. But this, to me, I think it's better than Get Out. I love this film. I saw this in a
Okay.
theater, and it scared the shit out of me. Like it was very effective. Um, I think Jordan Peele is kind of one of our modern like master auteurs, especially in the genre
Mhm.
space. I love that he will correct people when they like try to say that his film is not horror, and he's like, just so we're clear, this is a horror film. Like he's very much
Yeah,
like,
he's awesome.
it's a very maligned sort of genre, and like I love that he's like saying like, hey, if you like it, you have to reckon with the fact that you liked a genre movie.
Hmm.
But anyway, this film just is so brutal. It's so clever. It's so memorable. The performance, Lupita Nyong'o is so good in
She's
this.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, my name is Aaron. So when Key and Peele did the substitute teacher, that basically became my nickname for the rest of my life, Aaron. But I've always been a fan. And the thing is, I think they brought a lot of those horror elements, obviously a lot of comedy too, to
Hmm.
their show. Actually haven't seen Nope, and
Oh
that's
man, it's so
as
good.
I need to. Yeah, so that's high
That's
on my
not me
watch
judging
list.
you. That's me like excited for you to see it. It's
Thank
so
you, thank you.
good.
It's at the streaming abyss, so it went to
Mm.
streaming. I put it on a watch list, and I just forgot about it. I forget what platform has it.
Well, I'll
Uh,
tell you that the 4K looks and sounds incredible, so I think it's worth a blind buy. But that's
Blind
just me.
buy. All right. Well, I will. When I edit this, I'll probably be going to my retailer of choice. So 78 is Colorado Space. If you're listening, you can't see this visual. I did try to pick out different images. Like I didn't
Hmm.
want to. I wanted images that actually conveyed what I found from the film. I don't know the director. Was it Richard Stanley? Was it? I think his name.
I'm not sure actually. This is one
He
that's
might
missed
have
me.
some
Although
issues.
I've read the Lovecraft story, but I haven't seen this yet.
Oh, cool. I think you'd like it.
Hmm.
That's again, I don't know what the director's situation is, but artist is tough always. But it's Nick Cage, and there's going to be more. So
Big fan.
77 is Love Witch. This was a tough one because is it horror? I kind of think it is, but what do you think of the Love Witch?
Haven't seen it, to
Really?
be
Okay.
honest. Yeah,
I think you'd like it. I think you would. So
I think so too. There's a fun one. I don't want to make you spoil the rest of the list or whatever, but Paranormal Activity 3 is my favorite in this
really,
franchise in particular.
okay.
I don't remember 2 very well, to be honest. These were some of the first horror films I ever saw to kind of
Mm.
date myself a little bit. I did get into horror a little bit later in life because I actually wasn't allowed to watch horror films for a long time. But when I was a teenager, these were some of the first ones that I saw, and I found them to be
Hmm.
pretty effective. Found footage is actually maybe the how my like horror gateway. I have definitely a soft spot for it, and I still like it when it's done for artistic purposes as opposed to budgetary concerns or whatever. Like,
Right.
um, but I like
Yeah.
even the films in this franchise that aren't good. I kind of still like they
Yeah.
almost have like a calming ASMR effect on me because there's not really much happening, but it kind of is a vibe.
Hmm. So Paranormal Activity 2 is what I have. And yeah, this is my favorite of the franchise, but
Hmm.
this is a franchise that I'm not going to say they're masterpieces. I agree, huge for found footage. And pretty sure this is not the last found footage on the list, but this one in particular, I saw it in theaters. That probably made a difference. I remember liking
Mm-hmm.
3 too. I'll just share. I don't have number the first to the original. I think the sequel is better, and that's the case sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 75 is Green Room. Speaking of goes hard, I think this one goes very, very
Yeah, this one's
hard.
a real. Yeah, this one's fun. I know our mutual friend Ryan Verrill, Mr. Disconnected. This is like his favorite movie or something.
Yeah.
It's not quite that for me, but it is really good.
Yeah, I think
I enjoy it.
he probably have it top 10, top 20 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of context, you can't talk about this without some political context. But
Yeah, it's yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, no, I like it a lot. But 75, I'm speaking of
Look, I'll
which,
just say, especially when you get into like underground black metal,
Mhm.
let me tell you, I've been in some rooms
Oh,
with some sketchy people, and it's like, am I gonna be okay? Like,
yes.
so
Oh
this
no,
film is very real. It's a real thing, you know.
and I like that. I mean, life has horrors.
Hmm.
Let's put them on screen. This one is probably not very real, but The Gift 2015 is my number 74, and I'll just show The Strangers 2008 is my 73. So, home invasions. Well, I guess this is not home invasion, but so we'll just do two at a
I've not
time. How
seen
about
The Gift. The Strangers, I think I've told this story a few times, but The Strangers is the very first horror film I ever saw. And so I
ooh.
was like expecting a lot and it didn't scare me. And so I was like, well, that was lame. Like I didn't do the thing. And then I rewatched it kind of recently and I was like, okay, I see what we're doing here. I still don't really like it that much, to be honest. It's okay, but
That's
I think
fair. Yeah.
it's very influential and I mean,
Hmm.
like I can't tell you how many people in this space have said that this is like one of their favorite horror films, or like this is a very personal film for them. So like, I'm not knocking it; it just doesn't connect with me particularly well. Um,
Hmm.
but I do like it. It's just compared to how much other people like it, you know.
Yeah, I think it's more character film than Home
Hmm.
Invasion. So the screenshot or the image you see here, it kind of like misleads as far as how scary. Yeah, it's not that scary. I don't think.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, let's go to the next two. They fit on the screen. So 72 is 28 Days Later, and 71 is Zombieland. So we have
Very
a
different
comedy and a
zombie double
nuts.
feature here.
Yes, and wasn't intentional, but I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I think that opening sequence of 28 Days Later is really something special, which is the image we're seeing here. And Zombieland is fun. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. 28 Days Later, I like a lot. I think it's a very political film. It's very
Oh,
disturbing. It's
yeah.
very nihilistic. It doesn't have nice things to say about human nature, but it is pretty effective and really good. This is shot on video, right? And I think it's the first shot on video film I ever saw. And I was like, why the hell
Oh.
does it look like this? It's a Blu-ray that I'm watching. Like, what's going on? And then there's like the
Mm.
one scene that's shot on film that just looks like unbelievably good after the like camcorder footage the whole time. Anyway, Zombieland, I'll just be upfront. I don't like it at all. Like, I really, really
No
don't like it.
problem.
But I know that other people do, and I liked it when it came out. So you know, but I
That's fair.
rewatched it.
I
Whoa.
haven't seen it since it came out either. So, a lot of these are based on some
Hmm.
memories. And by the way, you don't have to like every single movie on the
Uh-huh.
list. There's no pressure here.
Yeah,
So, okay, let me go to The Orphanage and The Blackcoat's Daughter. So,
both I
2007.
haven't seen.
Oh, okay. Have you seen Longlegs? I'll spoiler. It's on
Yes,
the
Long Legs
list.
is good. Long Legs
Okay,
is really good. Yeah,
I
this is
think
this his first film, maybe second, something like that.
second Osprey. Yeah, a second.
Hmm.
I think this might. If you like Longlegs, I think this would be up your alley.
Hmm.
Yeah, I get this one can't really talk about because yeah, there's a little bit of a twist, but even talking
Hmm.
about a twist is a bit of a spoiler. So these two
Exactly.
are 68 and 67, Devil's Rejects and Cabin in the Woods. One's just schlock horror, gross, grotesque, and the other is high concept. So I don't know.
Yeah, So Rob Zombie is hit or miss for me. Some of his films land, and
Same.
some of his films really don't. This is one that I didn't care for, and I got to be honest,
Hmm.
for reasons that don't really make sense for me or like feel weird to say out loud. But this movie felt too mean to me, and like
It's
too
mean.
it's like it's just kind of like reveling in like really
Oh
sadistic
yeah,
violence in a way that made me uncomfortable. But I mean, that's clearly what it set out to do, so it was effective. It just I
yeah.
don't know. It just felt too it felt trashy in a way that wasn't for me, I think. But it might
Interesting. Yeah.
be, it's memorable for sure. It might be a rewatch sort of deal where I'm like, okay, I see what he's doing now, because I've watched it a long time ago, honestly. So it might be that I'm just in a different place in my personal disposition to this sort of thing. Um,
Hmm.
Cabin in the Woods is fun. It's definitely a it's
It's a
it's an
send
interesting
up.
take on the sort of
Yeah.
meta horror sort of thing,
Yeah.
you know.
And I like when films reference themselves and their genres,
Hmm.
and I thought it was clever, and I think it was
Yeah.
kind of one of the early. We've seen that happen more, so I thought it was a
Hmm.
little bit groundbreaking. This one is interesting, and I'll share why in a second. So, two Asian films. I did not plan
Mm-hmm.
this. So,
Okay.
66 is Three Extremes, and 65 is The Host. So,
I've never even heard of Three Extremes, I don't think, unless I'm forgetting something. I'll have to look into
uh,
that.
it's South Korean anthology film. It's really good.
Cool.
So
Cool.
yeah, hold that thought. There's actually
Okay.
so yeah, you'll see here in a second. There's have you seen The Host?
Yes, it's great.
Okay, yeah, the image is
It's
a
a
little
solid bong hit there.
solid bong hit. There you go. The image is a bit of a spoiler, but it's about a monster. Okay, here we
Here's
go.
a fun one.
Two fun ones. 64 Ishi the Killer and 63 is May. So yeah.
I've not seen May.
Oh
It's on
really?
the
Okay.
list. Yeah, it's on the list. But Ichi the Killer, I think I was a little surprised because it has a reputation for being so disturbing, and it's
Hmm.
certainly bloody. But the special effects are so goofy that I have a hard time. I mean, sure, different people have different dispositions. If you watch this like nasty shit and you're disturbed by it, that's totally fair. But I was just kind of like, this is silly. Like I'm having fun, you know?
It is. It is. I mean, it's over the top. I think that's part of why I like it. It's like,
I mean, not
I
to
mean,
spoil anything, but there's a scene where somebody is like CG'd onto a muscle body, and it's like maybe the goofiest thing I've ever seen. But you know what?
yeah,
It really goes
it's
for it, and I
it's
appreciate it.
fun. Yeah, yeah. I can't find a lot of screenshots from that film that are appropriate to
Mm,
use. That was actually the case for a few. So okay, we'll skip May. So we have Planet Terror, and then you're next. It's 62 and 61.
yeah, Planet Terror is one of the few Tarantinos that I have not seen.
That's
Um,
Robert Rodriguez actually,
oh,
but
is it?
it was in Grindhouse. So yeah.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I haven't seen either of them. But your
Okay,
next is it rips. It's so much fun. It's a
it's
great film.
another home invasion, but it
Uh
is
huh.
so much fun with a bit of a twist.
It's a real
So I
barn
won't.
burner. It's a crowd
It's a
pleaser for sure. You know.
it is that then this is one that I would love to see in like a packed crowd. You probably
Mm-hmm.
didn't get a lot of opportunities when it was first released, but
Mm-hmm.
if it were like a midnight movie somewhere, that would be just so much fun. Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
that's
Oh,
all it
here we
is. It's
go.
fun. Yeah. So we have Raw.
Two bangers back to back. Nice.
I yeah, I think we'll have a lot of bangers coming up. So number 60 is Raw, and number 59 is Dark Water.
Yeah, the first time I saw Raw was before I was like a movie person. Like I was really into it.
Ooh,
I was just kind of like a casual viewer, and I was like, this made me so uncomfortable. I hated it. And now I'm like, no, this is so good. It's so great. I don't
I
know,
love
like
it. I love it.
erotic, it's kind
Yeah.
of low-key sapphic, like cannibalism. It's just nasty, and it Julia Ducournau, I think, is
Hmm.
along with Jordan Peele, one of our like premier horror auteurs. Like, I hope we'll be seeing her other film later. You don't have to reveal, but that one I think is even better. And like, I
Maybe.
can't wait to see what
Maybe.
she does next. Like,
I
she's a
can't
real
either. Yeah.
sick freak, and she makes films for sick freaks like me, and I love it.
And I'm glad you said that because that's one thing people think about female filmmakers is, well,
Mm-hmm.
okay, they're not going to be, talk about the male gaze versus the female
Mm-hmm.
gaze. You know what? Everybody has that sick freak in them, and it's okay
Mm-hmm.
to show it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can be pervy or whatnot. It's okay to show it. It's coming. It's
Yeah.
genuine. So
What's
Dark
her name
Water.
on the screen? I forget her name. I'm so sorry,
Oh, the
but she
actress.
really gives
Yeah.
it her all in, like just a deeply uncomfortable performance, and just really pulls it
Yeah.
off.
You can see already from this list that I do love some French horrors, so
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
Japanese horrors. So Dark Water, yeah, don't need to say a lot
It's
about that.
good.
All right, Frailty and Ginger Snaps. I kind of think I maybe underrated Ginger Snaps, but
Oh man.
it's been a
Yeah,
while.
I don't know much about Frailty. I don't think I've seen or heard of it, but Ginger Snaps is would be high on my list. It is so
Hmm.
good. I couldn't believe how much I liked it. Like it works on every level for me. Um I
It's
don't know. It might be a 10 if I watched it again. Right now, for me, it's
wow,
at a
wow.
9. But like, it's so good. It's so
I know
good.
the second side had the triple or the I think
Hmm.
all three movies, and I meant to pick that up and give just give them all a spin again.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I've
no,
not seen
I
the
remember
sequels. No, no, go ahead.
being blown away. Oh no, it's
Yeah.
okay. Get Out. There we go, Jordan Peele,
Yep.
and I Saw the
It is
Devil,
great.
2010. It
Get
is
Out
great.
is like it is an important film. It is a really great film. It's one that might just be his legacy forever, like the thing that he'll always be trying
Yeah.
to top. And in my opinion, he's topped it twice. But I know that in the general zeitgeist, this is kind of like they just did a statue of Daniel Kaluuya's character from this, which rules, honestly.
Wow. Well, where
It's
at?
really cool. I don't know. I'd have to look that
Oh,
up, but
we'll have to
it's the
yeah
scene
look
of
up
him
after.
falling, and there's a statue of it
Oh
now.
yeah, the sunken place. Yeah.
Mhm. Really, really cool film. I love talking about political films. Like, again,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
understand how you could do a review or an analysis of this without
Mhm.
engaging with its politics. But it's about the horror of being. I mean, it's about the horror of being a black person in America. But generally speaking, I think you could zoom out a bit and understand that it is speaking to the
Mhm.
experience of marginalized identity in American society. Um,
And
yeah.
that's why when we say we don't talk about politics, we also say that human rights are not political. So,
Mm,
so for example, the black experience that I'm not going to say that's politics. Being black in America is, that's one thing I actually appreciate from film because I don't have this lived experience, and we'll
exactly.
see that from a lot of. So, you give a bit of perspective. Actually, I think that helps me become a better person.
I
So, thank you,
agree. I
Jordan Peele.
um I I hope I'm not misattributing this quote. I think it's Roger Ebert that said that movies are empathy machines. It's another one of my favorite quotes about
That's
movies.
great.
It's that I
That's
think it's like the most valuable thing that they give us. And like,
mhm.
um, I don't know, not now I'm going to get a little bit overtly political, but like another
It's
thing
okay.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking about is that my
We're in the
channel
context of the
needs
films.
to
You're here.
be an overtly political project in that like I think that a point of connect because we are so divided and we are at a
Yes.
point where each half of the political spectrum is living in genuinely different realities at this point, and I don't know
Mhm.
how we fix that, but one way that we can is a shared appreciation of art. And if somebody comes to this space like, oh, I really like that movie, let's see what this person has to think about it, and now they're confronted with ideas that they maybe hadn't considered, that is a bridge I think that we can still hold on to in like this insanely polarized moment.
I think that's a great point. Yeah, no, again, I don't think that's really a political point. That's just living in the world. So
Yeah,
55 is I Saw the Devil, and so 54 is Dumplings. So if you haven't seen Three Extremes, you probably haven't seen Dumplings.
I've never heard
It's
of it, I
actually
don't think. Yeah.
one of the anthology features. So, but they did or
Okay.
shorts, I should say. But Fruit Chan is the director, and he did a full length version. Actually, it's a truncated
Hmm.
part of his.
Okay.
I think you would like it. This is again, it's about eating things. So, eating dumplings, and that's all I'll say. But it's a really good movie. So, okay, then scrolling down, yeah, 52 is it, and I didn't feel great about this being up there, but I do like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
53 is The Devil's Backbone.
All right, so The Devil's Backbone is an incredibly special film, I think. It is
Mhm.
my personal favorite, put a pin in that, Guillermo del Toro film. I think it's incredible,
Okay,
but I haven't seen it in a while. And after rewatching The Shape
should.
of Water, I'm like, oh man, that one's so good. But this to me really had an effect on me when I saw it, and I'm due for a rewatch for sure. I need to get that ridiculous Sony Classics set so I can have it on 4K, but damn.
All right, yeah.
It it's good. I'll just say that. I think it's
It's
fine.
good.
For like
It's good.
mainstream horror, it's fine. I really don't like It Part 2, but that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, same, same. I had a lot of high hopes for it with part
Mhm.
one because it's been that novel that really couldn't be captured. But
Mhm.
I agree. It might have been higher if they had like a good movie uh, between the two of them. If it was one good movie, but
Mhm.
so 51 is
I
Old
just
Boy, and 50 is Godzilla minus one. Again, we're not talking about
yeah.
huge gore, maybe a little bit with Old Boy, but yeah, and it's Korean and Japanese film. So
This might be my biggest hot take so far. I
uh-oh.
know I'm a big fan of Old Boy. Honestly, I have a review
Okay.
for it on my letterbox. I think it might have just been an instance of expectations versus what is actually going on.
Mm,
But here's another one. I guess minor spoilers ahead. There is a twist, and I'm not going to say what it is, but
yeah,
the twist,
yeah.
I feel like the film really banks on that twist working for you, and it didn't work for me at all. Like I didn't find it
Hmm.
plausible or believable even a little bit. And I also think the aesthetic of it is like pretty hideous. I don't know. It's one to rewatch now that I know
That's
what I'm
fair.
getting into, I think.
That's fair.
And maybe I
I
can
do.
appreciate other elements of it, you know. It's memorable for sure, like it's influential and it's well made. I have issues with its script and aesthetic, I think.
You're not the only one. There's one sequence that I think is from like a filmmaking technical perspective
Oh
is
yeah,
really
it's a banger.
amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that probably slants it a little bit for me. I
Mhm.
agree. Probably as a whole, it doesn't work as well, but I do. I like some of the innovations, and it was part of that South Korean horror, huge part of that South Korean horror. Godzilla minus one is yeah, it's fun. So
It's a good
okay,
one. It's I mean, you're gonna get me on my Godzilla thing because it's very special to me. It was so lovely to get to see that in IMAX in a theater, to see the Toho logo come
oh,
up
I
and hear the
bet.
Godzilla theme and everything. It was just wonderful. But
And
I'm
it won an
of two
Oscar. I
minds.
mean,
Yeah, it's great. I'm of two minds, and I'm so glad that it has had the success that it has, and that it has kind of righted the ship of like what Godzilla has been in mainstream culture
mhm,
for a long time now. Godzilla 2014, I think, is very, very good, but
mm.
man, anything after that and that Roland Emmerich disaster, just no,
Yeah.
not super for me.
Shin
But
Godzilla was okay, I think.
Shin Godzilla rips. I
Is
prefer
it?
that
Okay.
one, but it's way artsier, so I
It
understand
is,
why they
yeah, yeah.
like this is very much like um it's digestible for like a mainstream Hollywood audience, while still being like unapologetically Japanese, and so I appreciate it for that. I love the creature
Mhm.
design. I love the special effects and everything. I don't even know that it would make my top 10 Godzilla movies, but I'm really glad that it exists, and I'm
Wow.
really glad that people love it so much. My only quibble with it is when people are like, "Oh, they finally made a
Yeah.
Godzilla movie where you care about the characters," and I'm like, "Man, start at the beginning because like they've been
E
doing that since day
exactly,
one." But
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Well, yeah, we no, I the thing is with the top 10 Godzillas, that's a very high bar, when you think of that
Hmm.
that original series.
Yeah.
There's some real gems there. You
No,
good?
I'm blocked off, so we're good to go.
Okay. Alright, well, alright, we're getting in the top 50, so, I'm gonna try to race through it a little bit, but, like, I mean, there's gonna obviously, this is top 50, so they're the best films. So, we have
Mm.
Ty West X. I'll just say it's the only one of his, trilogy, but I do like all of them. And then A Ghost Story, so 2017.
Ghost Story is a big blind spot for me. X is actually the very first analysis video I did on my channel, so I have a bit of a personal connection to that one too. It was my favorite. I think I like Maxine better. I know that's a hot take. A lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was a ton of fun, but
I think a lot of people didn't like it because they expected it to be just like X or Pearl or,
mhm.
not that those are too much like each other. I need to rewatch it. My my appreciation for Maxine has grown, but it's not on the list,
Mhm.
and neither is Pearl.
Sure. Mhm.
47 is actually another remake of Funny Games, which is controversial. So
Mhm.
2007, Haneke's, and then 46 is Villeneuve Enemy, which is that's a little maybe a stretch, but I'll call it horror.
I think it's a horror. I like it a lot. I've not seen either of the Funny Games. I was actually supposed to have a first date with somebody where we would watch Funny Games, and then didn't end up happening. So I didn't end up seeing it. But uh, Enemy
I
is
don't
fun.
think there
I
would have
like
been a
it.
second date, even even for
Mm,
you.
I don't
That's a
know.
tough
I don't
movie.
know.
Yeah. So 45 is one. It follows, and 44 is one cut of the dead. So it follows another high concept, fun one, I thought. But one cut of the dead. Have you seen that?
Believe it or not, I haven't seen it. I've not seen either of these. It Follows is a huge blind spot for me. I just kind of missed it when it came out and
Hmm.
never revisited it. I don't know that I've heard of One Cut of the Dead, to be honest.
One cut of the dead is a Japanese horror, low budget. Kind of a comedy. This is one that if I talked about
Nice.
it too much, like it is really funny. And basically, the first act is a found footage movie. The second act is about them preparing to make the found footage movie, and the third act is actually behind the scenes of making it. But the thing is, the third act
Hmm.
is funny as hell, and you have to get through
Hmm.
the first two to get there. So yeah.
Interesting. That's a really interesting plot structure or concept.
All right, 43 is
Ooh,
Bug, and
okay.
42 is Fat Girl. I know Fat Girl is a lot of people
Oof.
have been like, that. Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, that oof says a
I would
lot.
put I would count it. I would count
I
it.
would too. Yeah.
Bug I haven't seen, so we can move past that. But Fat Girl, man, what her all of her films are just intensely challenging and just I don't know, like
Yeah.
in terms of female directors that are sick freaks that I appreciate that go harder than I mean just about any of their contemporaries. Like this film really goes there.
Yeah, and goes there
Uncomfortable viewing for sure.
in a lot of ways too.
Uh-huh.
Also about the title Fat Girl, and about
Hmm.
those two characters. So yeah, and that's Catherine Brie. So she's a master. 41
Hmm.
is Wolf Creek. Speaking of gore, and then yes, I cheated. 40 is Too Many Cooks. I love Too Many Cooks. Yeah, it's like what 12 minutes. I just love it. I'd buy like a
Oh,
super deluxe
interesting.
edition.
It sounds like that'd be an easy watch. I've never heard of it, but if it's 12 minutes, I don't really have an excuse not to
Oh, it's
see it.
an Adult Swim. Well, actually, this is kind of a spoiler there. So yeah, we'll move on.
Cool.
39 is Saint Maud. I think I like it more than more people. And then
I love Saint
38
Maud.
is oh, good, good. 38 is The Conjuring. So I'm glad you like Saint
I
Maud.
love Saint Maud, and I like it better than Love Lives Bleeding. I know that a lot of people are like, "Oh, she found her footing on the second one," and it's great. I love Love Lives Bleeding, but
Hmm.
I think this one's still better. It's eerie. It has themes that connect with me more. I have a Saint Maud shirt. That's one of my favorite
Really,
shirts.
that's
Could have
awesome.
worn that today, and that would have been uh, uh, fortuitous. Maybe I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
Well,
The Conjuring.
shallow, shallow
The
works. Yeah.
Conjuring. Oh boy, The Conjuring. This is one that I watched when it first came out. It was when I was very first getting into horror, and I was like, "That's the scariest thing I've ever seen." It's a perfect movie. It's amazing.
Hmm.
And I rewatched it, having been more of a seasoned viewer, and I'm like, "It's still good. It's still a very effective haunted house film." Unfortunately, I think this film's politics really sour it for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And especially knowing more about the real people that it's based on, like they're just like grifters and sexual predators, and I'm like, I don't love that
Yeah.
we're like whitewashing these people's history, and like
Literally.
it
Yeah.
is a complicated
Yeah.
film, and but it's
Yeah. And
well made. Like if you separate that and just view it as fiction, even though it's still kind of problematic, like it's very effective and it's very fun. But I struggle with it a little bit, especially the second one. It just gets even more overt. The like kind
yeah.
of pro Catholic propaganda that's at the heart of this.
And I
Yeah,
didn't think
not
about
good.
that with the pairing, because really, I think Saint Maud is really one of the a great
Hmm.
example of handling religion through film, or balancing
Hmm.
spirituality and horror, and and I
Hmm.
don't I don't know that a lot of films have really done that extremely well. Usually, it's they exploit the religion, like The Exorcist,
Hmm.
The Conjuring. That's the thing. I think it's a really good film, but I agree. Some of that other stuff has weighed on me, and I tried to be, to, again, politics in the context of the films. I tried to, consider that as much as I could. I do still like it, but it's not one I go back to. So yeah, I think you've
Hmm.
talked me into moving it down a little bit. So we already talked about Long Legs at 37, and then 36 is Doctor Sleep, which I find I think I'm again in the minority. I do like that film quite a bit.
Yes, I have it. I still haven't seen it, but I think I'll like it. I've heard nothing but good things from people I trust anyway. Real quick, Longlegs is not like my favorite film or anything. It's not my favorite film of the year, but it is it's stayed with me. Especially
Hmm.
the aesthetic. Like it looks gorgeous and it's so well shot, you know.
It's
Thematically
silly
maybe I
though.
don't think it
Yeah.
lands quite as much. I think Nicolas Cage rules. I love him and I love him in this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of Nicolas Cage in this movie. So Color Out of Space was one. There's going to be another. I think at least one more. Yeah, I do recommend Doctor Sleep. It's good. So
Nice.
Killing of a Sacred Deer and Willard. I love me some Willard.
Um, haven't seen Willard. Killing of a Sacred Deer. I love. It's so good. I love really well, except for I think Alps maybe like one of his very early, just
Hmm.
kind of like experimental films that didn't land for me. Everything that I've seen from Yorgos is just so incredible, and this one, man, stays with you. It's a challenging,
Really does.
dark film.
Hmm.
It's definitely operating on a lot of like magical realism. Like you're not really sure how to uh, interpret what's going on if you take it too literally, but it's just so good. Barry Keoghan really nails it
He's
with this
great. Yeah.
kind of fucking weirdo guy performance. You know?
Well, that's kind of become his thing. So and he's great
Yeah,
at
he's
it.
just a
So yeah,
weird guy. You know.
weird guy, typecast, but different kind of weird guys.
Hmm.
Saltburn, he's certainly a very, very different weird guy. So 33 is November, and then 32 is Mandy. So speaking of Nicolas Cage, Mandy is maybe one of my favorite Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage. Um,
Missed both of these. I own a copy of Mandy and just haven't seen it yet. But that screenshot you have for November is intriguing to me. Looks like my kind of thing.
November, well, it's in the full core 2 box set, the Severin. So I was
Oh,
really
okay,
happy to
cool.
see that in there. I want to say it's Armenian. I could have that wrong. I don't like to get countries wrong, but I can't look up everything as we're
Shout out
going.
Severin.
Yes, shout
Repping
out
Severin in
Severin.
the coffee cup today.
Nice. I have no boutique label in my coffee cup. So Mandy is fun. Let's leave it there. So Let Me In is a remake, actually, but I think it's a pretty good remake. And then 30 is The Lighthouse, of course, Robert Eggers, which I think is horror.
Yeah,
What do you
I
think?
100% would agree with that. Let Me In. I've not seen. I've seen Let the Right One In, and honestly, I don't love it as much as other people do. I don't struggle to connect with it as much. I do like that it's named after one of my favorite Morrissey songs, but other than that, like I think
It's good, yeah.
it is, you know, it's good. It's just I think I had higher, and I've seen it a couple times now, and I don't
Hmm.
connect with it the way other people do, but it is really good. Like it's effective. Um,
Mhm.
Talking about my boy Robert Eggers. It's maybe don't. We're not going to say that this is solidified for sure, but I think Robert Eggers is my favorite contemporary director. Like
Nice.
everything he makes just hits for me so hard. It's like it feels like it's for me. And The Witch is one of my all-time favorite films ever. Maybe we'll be talking about it later. I hope so, but we'll see. The Lighthouse, though, it is so it's a worthy follow-up, I think. Like I saw this in a
Mhm.
theater the first time and I couldn't understand half of what they were saying, but I still really liked it. And upon a
Yes.
rewatch I was just like, yeah, this is such a banger. It's so good.
You need
I love
subtitles for Eggers films, I think.
uh-huh. You do. I love how he just commits to the bit and he's like, you're gonna understand it or you won't, but I'm gonna do it right, you know. I love the kind of analog. Is this shot on 16 or 35? I don't remember, but it's definitely shot on film, and
Yeah,
it's
I
in a
think it's
weird
35.
kind of narrow aspect ratio to kind of
Mhm.
add to the claustrophobic um, themes going on in the film. It's very quotable. It's just I don't have anything but nice things to say about this, and I bought the
You
Arrow 4K, so I'm excited to revisit it.
Oh, nice. You like my lobster, don't you?
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
can't do it like Defoe.
Fond of me lobster.
So yeah, I'll just disappoint you now. The Witch is I need to rewatch it. I actually have it had the second sight in the other
Oh.
room. That's I need to re. I mean, I really liked it. I really thought it was interesting, and I love the ending. But the thing is,
Mm-hmm,
again, I've only seen it without subtitles in theatrical. So
mm-hmm.
so
I think
it
you'll
was
like
kind of
that second sight release. It looks even better than the Studio 4K. Like it looks wonderful and
nice.
it's so
Wow.
good.
Yeah. No,
But
it's
just to tell
well
you how
north.
much I love The Witch, I have a it's not exactly a Black Phillip tattoo, but it is definitely a Black Phillip inspired tattoo on my arm. So
Oh,
big
nice.
fan.
Oh,
It's a very
awesome. Well,
special personal film to me.
in that case, I have to rewatch it soon. So bookmark that. So 29. So Ari Aster is a big deal. Those Afraid,
Yep.
and then we have A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. So another foreign. Well, it's not really foreign because Lily. Oh, what's her name? I'm sorry, I forgot. But she's American, but she's Iranian. Has Iranian
Hmm.
descent. Um, so yeah, what do you think of these two?
Beau is Afraid is great. I love it. It's one of the most stressful, anxiety-inducing films I've ever seen. It's one of the most self-indulgent films I've ever seen, and it doesn't
Totally.
100% work for me, but like that's kind of what you sign up for when you just watch somebody's 3 hour fucking what $80 million like vanity project. It's I love that kind of thing. I love how like uncompromising it is. I gotta say, I'd hate to be this dude's mom watching this film because, like, man, I don't know. Like, I read in interviews that he's like, yeah, I have a great relationship with my mother. She watched it and liked it. I'm like, I don't believe you. Like, you're unpacking things here, whether you realize it or
Yeah.
not. Like, geez.
I think there in his other films too. Think that there
Hmm.
is some weird. Anna Lily Amanpour is the girl that did A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, and you know what? She became kind of controversial because like she trashed. I think she trashed Tarantino. Oh no, she trashed Citizen
Mm.
Kane. So yeah, yeah,
Oh, I
how
mean, you know,
I love Citizen Kane, but you know. A lot of people
whatever.
trash
Like,
Citizen
yeah,
Kane, exactly. But I think this is a really accomplished. I think it was
it's
her
a good
debut.
one. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's one I need to rewatch because I really enjoyed it when I saw it.
It actually is kind of like El Conde. So if you like that, you
Yeah.
might like El Conde. So then we're getting to the big
Oh boy.
ones. So 27 is Martyrs, which yeah,
Yeah.
again, this
What
would
a
get flagged
grotesque
as.
image too. Yeah.
Well, have you seen the movie?
Yeah,
Have
I
you
have.
actually? Yeah,
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 I have a copy of it too. It's a tough one.
it's very tough. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a bit of a moment where I was like, let's just go through the list of like the most disturbing films, just so I can just get them out of the way. I watched this. I watched a Serbian film. I watched I Spit on Your Grave. I watched Cannibal Holocaust. Like, and
Mm.
this was it deserves to be among them. You know, it's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
brutal and it's a tough watch. But it is. I think it's very well justified. I think it's very artistic.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think
I like
of
it.
the films you mentioned, I think it stands out. Now, I actually am one of
Mhm.
the few people that doesn't hate a Serbian film. Now, I don't
I don't
love it.
hate it either.
I get what they were going for. I don't
I
take it
do
as
too.
literal. Yeah, Under the Skin and Black Swan. So Black Swan, Aronofsky. Yeah, I think
Mm.
they're horror. I think Aronofsky is just generally horror.
Oh,
That's what
for
he makes.
sure.
I don't.
Yeah.
And then Under the Skin, of course, Glazer, same. In
Um,
fact, I'm kind of thinking maybe Birth counts, but yeah, it's not on the
hmm.
list. What do you
Under
think?
the Skin is maybe. I think I've said this a couple times now, but I promise you, this is near the top of my watch list. Like, I really need to just
Oh
see it.
wow.
I haven't
Okay.
seen it yet. Yeah. Black Swan, though, she's controversy aside, with how it
Right.
obviously borrows from some great films, namely The Red Shoes, namely Perfect Blue. Like, the idea that
Hmm.
he would claim that he hasn't seen Perfect Blue or that it didn't
I know.
influence him is absurd, but
I know.
that's okay. Like, it's okay that you got influenced by a great film and you made another great film.
Hmm.
This has scenes in it that are among the more disturbing things I've ever seen, which I wasn't expecting given how mainstream this film is, but
Hmm.
uh I don't know, fingernail stuff, finger stuff in general is hard, and there's some scenes in there that I had to look away. You know, it's rough.
Yeah.
It is an intensely uncomfortable film, but it's really effective and really well made.
I
Um,
think you could say
big
that
fan.
about all of his films. Yeah, me too.
Hmm.
And this is a little aside, but like Olivia Rodrigo, I would not really think she would get mentioned on one of our podcast videos. I think she's okay. You know, I'm not a fan. It's not really my thing. But the whole Elvis Costello, she totally ripped off his song, and he was like, "It's cool. People rip off from people. I've ripped off from
Hmm.
people. Go ahead." I thought
Hmm.
that was a really cool
Yeah,
take by Elvis Costello.
I agree. Like, nobody makes fully original art. Everybody is
Right.
influenced by what they have engaged with up until that point. I really think it's fine. Like,
I
you
think it
know.
is too. Yeah, and filmmakers, half these films we've talked about are highly influenced by others. So 24 is The Others. Speaking of others, and 23 is The Descent. So yeah,
Two bangers. I love both of these deeply. Um, I would prefer
and
The Descent over these two, but that's completely arbitrary. The Others is just a really effective, um, really smart, really well
mm,
made ghost story. I love it. But The Descent is one where I don't know. The first 15 minutes, I was like, "This is awful. Like, I don't like this at all. Like, this is not working for me at all." And then
yeah,
it just takes off and it just works. And it's one of the more impressively made films I can think of. Like, the sense of
mhm,
claustrophobia and like the idea of like creating sets in like almost entirely dark, just like
yeah.
entirely unlit sets, and like, oh man, it's so scary. And then and then it gets actually scary. You know,
I know. Yeah,
it's so good. Just
and I think that
really such an impressive accomplishment, in my opinion.
I think also the way horror hits you, like it hits everybody different. But if you are claustrophobic at all, this
Oh
movie
man,
will
yep.
freak you the fuck out.
Hmm.
And even if you're not, I think it'll still you'll find it to be a good movie.
You
But
might be after it's done.
yes, yes, it might create a new phobia for you. So here we have two
Ooh,
foreign,
man.
I think are bangers. La Llorona, 2019, and A
Mhm.
Tale of Two Sisters, 2003, South Korean. So have you seen them?
La Llorona, I haven't seen. I think I actually don't even remember if I bought it or not. I might have it. I don't remember. But I
It's
remember when it was
there's a
announced, I was
Criterion.
like, this
Yeah,
looks amazing. Yeah.
it is. It's good.
Um,
I think you'd love it. Yeah.
I imagine so too. A Tale of Two Sisters is another one of the scariest films I've ever seen. It is
Yeah.
so good. I love this movie so much.
Yeah, there's an Arrow release of it. But yeah,
I
no,
have
I
that
love
one.
it. Me too. Yeah. In
You
fact,
know
I
what?
wanted to.
Umbrella, I think, put out another one where they redid the scan or they recolor graded it or whatever, and it's supposed to be better. And I'm
Hmm.
like, well, damn it! But I'm hanging out with the Arrow for now. It'll be fine. But I'm
Yeah, no,
excited to rewatch it at some point.
I mean, you can't always have the best version. We have bank accounts, and we have to we have to buy
Sure, man.
groceries and that sort of thing. So okay,
Yeah.
20 is another horror comedy. Shaun of the Dead.
hmm
These are both kind of obvious. So, and 19 is The Ring, the remake of The Ring by Gore
hmm
Verbinski, which I was one of the scariest films I saw in theaters, in my opinion. But I don't know if it holds up as well now. Actually, I rewatched the 4K, and I did. But once you've seen it, it's not that scary. So yeah.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead doesn't connect with me the way it does with other people. I do really like it, but I think it's not one of my favorites or anything like that. The Ring, I watched the original and the remake kind of back to back, and I like them both for different reasons. I'm not sure that I
Hmm.
prefer one over the other. But I think that this is it's really good. It's a very like in terms of remakes, like it has its assignment and it does it well. So I like it.
I think that's a fair take. I mean, I think they, yeah, the remakes stand alone. I think. Okay,
Mm,
we have a weird one, and
okay,
well,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
So the happiness of the Katakuris, Takeshi Miike, and
yeah,
the Babadook is at 17. So yes, this is an odd pairing. Not that I tried to pair
yeah.
these, but
Uh-huh.
the happiness of the Katakuris is just so bonkers,
Sure.
and then the Babadook
It is.
is the Babadook. Uh, yeah.
Um, yeah, I saw the Babadook when it came out, whenever it hit home video, and it just blew me away. It scared the shit out of me, and it was also
Hmm.
just really effective aesthetically and thematically. And having rewatched it, I think it holds up. I think it's really
Hmm.
great. Happiness of the Katakuris, I struggled with a little bit. Like it's so all over the place. It's doing so many things, and some of it worked for me, and some of it didn't. Um, Probably one I should rewatch. Um,
It's a weird one, yeah.
yeah.
I love it, but that's that kind of I love house or
hmm
houseu, so that
Me
kind
too.
of aesthetic really works for me. And Miyake, well, we already had Issue the Killer,
hmm
Miyake, and also Audition. I like that.
Ooh.
So American Psycho. I'm actually as I look at
Oh
these
man.
are these are very white and male, but and you can't get more white male
Well,
than American Psycho. But that's a
yeah,
lot
but
of
that's
horror.
kind of the point, and it's like also it's not indulging in or endorsing the worst aspects
Right,
of that
right.
sort of intersection of identity. American Psycho is um, maybe my favorite book. I don't know what that says about
Hmm.
me. I don't know if that's a red flag or something, but I just love it so much. And the film I think is at least as good, if not. I mean, it's I want to say it's not better just because it doesn't manage to do everything. It feels like I'm reading the book, but at like 8 times speed or something. But like in terms of
Yeah.
a film adaptation, I think it's about as good as it could be. I think it's one of the best films ever made. Like genuinely, it is a perfect 10 to me. I think it
Hmm.
is kind of been like it's become such a meme and such a like part
Yeah.
of internet culture at this point. But like when you do your best to separate that and really just take it on its own terms, like at the time it came out, I think it's perfect. I love it.
I thought it was kind of slept on at the time it came out. Like, I think
hmm hmm
it gained its reputation. Yeah, it's the memes with him walking in the I don't
hmm
know what it is, what the matting, Christian Bale, and yeah, the Huey Lewis in the news and all that stuff. Phil Collins. And the thing is, it really he's fun to watch, and Christian Bale makes him. He's great. He makes him hilarious. But
Probably his best performance, in my opinion.
I think so too, and he kind of lures you in, like he makes you complicit. Like, okay, you find
hmm
yourself not really rooting for a serial killer, but highly entertained by one. So, yeah,
hmm
and I think it holds up on rewatches because he's just so funny. But
hmm
the thing is, it's brutal. They do not hold back on the violence. So yeah, I'm glad you like that as much. So okay, well, I did
Yeah.
count David Lynch.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
at 50,
I think you can make a case for all of David Lynch's films being horror films, with the exception of maybe The Straight Story.
Straight Story, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, Inland Empire is the last David Lynch film I watched. I had watched his entire
Huh.
filmography, and I saved this one for last just because of the timing of when it came out on Blu-ray. Oh boy. I'm not gonna try to do my whole type 5 on Lynch and why he's my favorite director, but um I've always just said, like, a lot of people struggle with his films, and like that's
Mhm.
understandable, but for whatever reason when I watch his stuff, I'm just like, I just get it. Like, I feel like I'm on his wavelength, or like I just understand the ideas he's trying to convey, even if I don't understand every visual or every plot element or whatever. And I think that that is actually not a good idea, to try to interpret every single thing that happens as like
Oh
literal
yeah.
or trying to make sense of it. Like, it makes emotional sense, it connects, and on an aesthetic level it gives you the feeling that it's trying to give you. But Inland Empire, I was like, it's too much even for me. I don't quite understand it. Like, I watched it once and it was like almost an endurance test. It is
Mm.
so, it's like Beau is Afraid. It's like his most self-indulgent work. And the harshness of the SOV aesthetic just makes it more uncomfortable. It's one that when it was done, I was like, oh man, like he made one even too challenging for me. And like, I need to, like, I liked it, to be clear. I gave it a positive score and everything, but it was one where I was like, I don't fully get this. Like, I need to see this one again. And it just hasn't been the right time yet. I haven't gone through all the supplements and like the kind of feature length deleted scenes that are on there or whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot.
Well, the shot we're looking at now is Bunny's in the living room. So yeah, not a. I actually
Fan of
love
the
that.
Rabbits. I love the Rabbits miniseries. It's great.
Oh yeah, yeah, nice. Yeah, I love David Lynch too.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is one where yeah, it doesn't make any sense, and you kind of have to stop trying at some point.
Hmm.
But I do, I think it's special, and actually, I actually saw this in theaters with my wife. By the way, she still reminds me, she is not a fan. We'll just say that. But the thing is, it was shot. I want to say maybe a little bit of 8 millimeter, maybe video some. I was really
Hmm.
surprised how good it looked with the 4K, and it really did look good.
Hmm.
But yeah, so you sometimes can restore those and make them look better. But yeah, I
Yeah, they
love it.
cleaned it up for sure.
So here we are at 14 and 13. So Memories of Murder and Hereditary. I love Memories of Murder. Well, obviously
Hmm.
both of these. So yeah, another Ari Aster. Uh,
Hmm. Um, Huge blind spot. Haven't seen Memories of Murder, but
okay.
I do own it. Story of my life, right? I just spent money on it and didn't watch it like a fool. But like Hereditary, I don't know. This is like, yeah, I feel like for this genre
Hmm.
and for this moment, there is pre-Hereditary and there is post-Hereditary. Like, it is such a like world, like um that sounds a little too much, but like in terms of
No,
the
I
landscape
see
of
what you're
horror
saying.
cinema, I
Yeah.
feel like it completely changed the game and like set a new standard. And like, is this sort of inciting incident for this new kind of elevated horror thing that's happening that I feel like is now kind of in its waning phase and kind of being replaced by more
Mm.
traditional schlocky genre fare, like Long Legs,
Hmm.
X and Pearl and Maxine. But this
Smile.
film is almost Smile too. Yeah, this film is almost perfect to me. Like, it is among the better. I don't know. It would be in my top 100 films, period, probably.
Oh
It
wow,
really
wow.
had an effect on me when I saw it, and it's held up on rewatches. Like, I love this film. So,
Nice. Okay. Well, that's great because now that we're at 13, like I, I feel more vulnerable actually. So the validation makes, and with what you said about the whaling, I think that based on that, you would love Memories of Murder. So
yeah.
Memories
Hmm.
of Murder, I think, was a big influence on that. In fact, I know
Hmm.
it was. And then, and I feel like Kiyoshi Kurosawa, that was a big influence on Memories of Murder. And yeah, Hereditary, I can't really say
Hmm.
much more. You might not be down with number 12. I think you'll be down with number 11. So I have the
Hmm.
menu, and 11 is I Saw the TV Glow.
So I have an analysis of the menu on my channel, and it is extremely entertaining. But I think it is
Hmm.
thematically troublesome. And not that I disagree with its politics or whatever. Like that gets kind of besides the point. I don't think it fully thought out what it's trying to say or like what it's trying to do. I spoke about this film for like 15 minutes, so I'll leave it for that. But
Okay, I'll find
suffice it
that.
to say, it is memorable and it is
Mhm.
well made and well crafted. And yeah, I watched Conclave the other night, and I thought a lot about his performance in this.
Mhm.
Ralph Fiennes, is that how you pronounce it?
Ray Fiennes, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ralph Rafe.
Anyway, I Saw the TV Low is my favorite film of the year, maybe
Nice.
my favorite film of the decade. I don't know. Like, it is so. I would have a hard time not just talking about this forever, and I kind of wish I was in a place to do a proper video for it. Maybe I will at some point,
Yeah, I
but
would love to watch one.
um, again, I don't want to overstate it, but this genuinely feels like something that in 30 years people will be talking about as like a foundational work. Like the filmmakers that are coming up today are going to be telling you that this film changed their lives, that this film
Hmm.
gave them the language to make whatever film they wanted to make. Um, I can't think of too many non-binary filmmakers working today, and Jane, what's their name? I don't know how to pronounce their last name. Is like kind of leading that pack and making it accessible to like make incredible films as that type of person. And so it's like it's important for me in that respect, but it also just I don't know. I walked out of that theater like they made this movie for me, and that's always a
Hmm.
good feeling. It's not just important in like how it's crafted or whatever, but like the themes are. I genuinely think that this film will probably save someone's life, and I think that that's
I
true
think
for a
you're
lot of people.
very right on that. Yeah.
And the
So
soundtrack is one of my favorite albums of the year. I listen to it all the
it's
time.
great.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
And yeah,
I'll
this is a
stop there.
tough one to laugh about or to smile about. I'm smile speaking of smile, because
Mm,
it is so I went into this not knowing anything about what it was about. And what we talked
mhm,
about, with another film lower on the list, like, so understanding how people live, and the skin in which they live, that you wouldn't
mhm.
have that perspective otherwise. Like, film is really a great gateway to that. And, that's, we've already stated that, that's obvious. But I would recommend anybody that hasn't seen this, don't Google, don't Wikipedia, just go in completely blind, let it wash over you, and then read about it, understand what it's talking about, watch it again. So I can't wait to watch it again. We're going to do a thing in just A24 films, but it's really just a great excuse to look at some of these
Nice.
fantastic films. Maybe we'll bring The Witch in there. But this one, I don't. I mean, it is a horror because of the experience in which this person is talking about, which I can't really say because that's a spoiler, and I just told you not to. I just told people not to know. But there is the horror is what somebody doesn't do, and how somebody lives within themselves, which is uncomfortable. And I know you can relate to this. So and that's
Yeah.
probably a lot of the reason this is so powerful to you. It's powerful. I mean, we can't. It's powerful in different ways, but it's powerful because I understand. But this makes me a better person understanding this film
Mhm.
and dissecting. So I would love if you did a video. In fact, I
Yeah.
promote that all over the place. So yeah,
Well, thank
I
you.
it's not my number one of the year, or of the century, millennium,
Century.
whatever.
I don't know
But
where it
it's
would land if I made a list like this, but it would be in the top 10, I can almost guarantee. So,
okay. Well, mine's pretty close, and then I have another comedy. I
yeah,
do like comedies, and number 10
nice.
is What We Do in the Shadows, and look at number 9,
Hell
Titan.
yeah.
So yeah,
More well, yeah. This is
there's
this
only
is a gender movie for sure.
oh, it sure is. And this is a freaking.
um,
So I guess let's get What We Do in the Shadows out of the way. I do. It's fun. But
um
are you a fan?
I've seen it, but it's a thing where like I saw it, but I wasn't paying attention at all. Like I had something else going on at the time and it
Sure.
was just kind of on. And so I need to rewatch it. Um,
Yeah,
the
it's fun.
Titan,
Yeah, it's
oh
a really
man.
effective comedy. Yeah, Titan.
Yeah.
It's weird having these two because I really do love the
Uh-huh.
What We Do in the Shadows. Titan really. Actually, this could grow in estimation on rewatches. I don't know if there's a 4K out. There probably
But not yet, but
should
there
be.
should
Yeah,
be. And I feel like
yeah.
Second Sight is going to come out with it any day now.
Feels like they
I'd buy it
should.
again. I have the Blu-ray, but I'd buy it again.
Yeah. Maybe Criterion
Yeah.
because it's a Palme d'Or winner, and
Yeah,
they
maybe.
maybe,
It's
but
is it Neon? Because I think they have that
it is
distribution deal
Neon.
too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's been one Neon that they didn't release. I forgot. I want to say it was the year after this, but I could be mistaken. I love this film, and it's a tough one, but I agree.
It's
Julie,
a film that goes there, you know.
it does go there, and again, this film, like what I said earlier, like okay, you see a female filmmaker, they have a certain perspective, and it might not conform to what your expectations are, and that's okay. Go with it. This one goes really hard, like super, super, like yeah. Anyway, I love this
It's
film.
extremely thematically rich. It's extremely aesthetically brutal. It has one of the most effective car crash sequences I think I've ever
Yes,
seen.
yes.
Um, Man. Anyway, I could talk about that forever, so we should keep going.
And with these two, you can tell that indulgent films are really, really my thing. So I have, and these were
Hmm.
very controversial. Loved people loved or hated them. So 8, I have a Mother, which some people really, really hate, and then 7, I have Midsummer, which speaking of Ari Aster, what you said about Hereditary, I would say about Midsummer, although it is
Hmm.
very, very, heavily influenced by,
It
Wicker
is.
Man and all
Hmm.
the others. But yeah, I love these two. So
Um, haven't seen Mother. I do own
okay.
it, so I need to get around to it. Midsummer, I have a complicated relationship with it because The Wicker Man is my all-time favorite film, and
Oh
seeing
wow.
it really just kind of, it's not even the film's fault. Just seeing people give credit to this where it was
Mhm.
clearly borrowing from what I feel is a superior work. But Midsummer, I think, is extremely effective, extremely memorable. I don't know, Ari Aster, like I'll put him on the list with a Jordan Peele, Julia Ducournau,
Nice. Yeah.
as like among our premier horror auteurs. Like he's not just making great, he's kind of like setting, he's like a trendsetter.
Mhm.
He's just doing his own
Mhm.
thing and people are
Yeah.
following suit, you know. This film is extremely disturbing. It's very I like, I probably prefer the director's cut just because I
I
don't
do
think
too,
any of the
yes.
stuff that was added detracts at all.
Agreed.
It's one that I
I
think about and I feel like is going to be a reference point for future generations for sure.
I think that the director's cut actually adds, exposition that actually really helps,
Hmm.
make the payoff,
I think so too.
land
Hmm.
better, so yeah. No, I
I
and it's totally a ripoff of the Wicker Man. I mean, but it's also
But again,
influenced
we've
by
already said that that's okay, you know.
it is okay, yeah, I'm yeah, yeah, of course, obviously, it's my number 7, so I think it's very okay, and I think imitation is flattery, but I think it does something
Hmm.
unique. So some of the other, like
I do
New French
too.
Extremity, I think it's influenced by a lot of those as well. So yeah, I love it. I am curious where, Astra goes. He could make terrible movies for the rest of the next 20, 30 years. Who knows? I
Yeah,
could
I
see
think it's
either.
interesting that his entire filmography made your list.
I know. So yeah, obviously I'm in the tank for him.
Oh man.
So okay, so I know you don't like number 5, Let the Right One In, because you
Oh, I
already said
like it.
that.
It's a solid
Yeah.
7 out of 10 for me. It's just like a 10
Okay.
out of 10 for everyone else, you know. So, but I like it.
Number, number 6 is Antichrist. It's probably my favorite Lars von Trier movie, but it's
I
really tough.
love
It's
Antichrist.
nice, nice.
It's so good.
I love the photography, the way and yeah, that stop motion, not stop motion, but that effect. It's really
Hmm.
really good at selling the discomfort and the character drama. The character drama is really at the center of this, and yeah, he's an expert. Well, I know Lars von Trier has has some problems as well. He doesn't always say the right thing. In fact, he says
Mm,
often the very wrong thing. But I do love this film, so I'm glad you do as well.
it's really challenging. It's really kind of dense and esoteric and inscrutable, and those are things that I like. You know, I like a film that finishes and I'm like, I'm not really sure what that was, and I need to think about it and unpack it. But the imagery is really effective. The performances are really effective. It's another one of those where I just have to be honest and say that like if
Yeah,
somebody watched that and just was like that was just straightforwardly one of the most misogynistic things I've ever seen, I don't think I could disagree with them. I think that that reading is pretty
yeah,
valid. That's
yeah.
not how I see it, and I think that there's more going on to it than that. Um, but I mean, I think that that's there. I love the
Oh
opening
yeah, it's Von
sequence. It's
Trier.
really interesting.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Von
Oh yeah,
Trier
it is.
is definitely a filmmaker who is not entirely defensible all the time, but is always interesting and is always
Mhm.
making things that I connect with on some level. So
I think
I don't
that's
know what that
fair.
says about
And
me, but
well, yeah, what does it say about all of us?
yeah.
One thing, so like what I like about Kurosawa is, he can have a samurai epic and have a huge battle scene, and then have a slow 10-minute, 15-minute sequence where you're really just
Hmm.
thinking about the impact of that battle scene. So I think that with Antichrist, so there's some character drama, maybe some torment, some upheaval, and then there's these visual effects that I think kind of punctuate the emotions. So I really think, and I'm not putting Lars von Trier up with Akira Kurosawa. That would be hyperbole, but I think that it works in a similar way. So Let the Right One In is my number
Mm.
five. We kind of already talked about that. We'll just go one at a
Oh
time
man.
now. So number four, again, Aronofsky. I am a fan.
Yeah.
So Requiem for
Yeah.
a
You've picked
Dream.
a really nice scene for the screenshot here.
I did that intentionally because
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
horror list, and I know that it was either
It's
this
yeah.
or Ellen Burstyn, and it's a little bit of a stretch, but I think this is a horror personally.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. This is one that I watched a very long time ago, and it was effective to me at the time. But it's on the like kind of rewatch list for me. But uh,
Mm.
I like it. I think it's really good. Again, it's one that I haven't seen since high school, so I need to give it another watch. But oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, now number three is Pulse. Speaking of Kurosawa, it's Kiyoshi
Mm-hmm.
Kurosawa from
Uh-huh.
2001. So yeah, this one is. So I love this film. We just did a thing about Kiyoshi Kurosawa in October, and with Cure, and yeah. So, but I know that not everybody does, and maybe some people think I overrate it, but it's a list. They're subjective. So,
Yeah.
this-
So this one I saw kind of recently, and
hmm,
it's a mixed bag for me. Like I think I landed on a 6 out of 10 on this one. Like there are sequences in it that are like genuinely quite frightening and really
mhm.
effective, and there's some really cool ideas in there. But I think it just kind of gets away from me at a certain point, and by the end of it, I'm kind of like over it and kind
You're
of ready
done.
for it to
Yeah.
end. It's a little. Uh, I don't know. It just didn't fully work for me. Some of the themes didn't quite land for me, but some of them did. Like I think it's one that maybe would reward a rewatch, just because it's also kind of complex and a little bit challenging for me at least to follow. And so I think on a
Mhm.
second time, when I'm not expending so much energy trying to figure out what the hell is going on, it might help me. Uh, yeah.
It's a big story, a really big
Hmm.
story, and it's tough to piece. Now, I've seen this probably, I'm guessing 10 times. I
Wow. Okay.
really I saw it in theaters again at a film festival before it came out, and it definitely does look different in a theater, because as you can see from the screenshot, you really have to see the blacks in the and just the different
Hmm.
tones.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, I say me, but this actually was number one on the slant list. That was the
Hmm.
so that was one thing I really did agree with, was this film being number one. But yeah, I'm that's one thing I don't like to tell people that didn't like a film or didn't love a film, hey, watch it again.
Hmm.
But some films do work better on rewatches. So this one's probably going to surprise you. Number two is
Yeah.
The Substance. I love it.
I
I've seen it
yeah,
twice
it's
already.
so good. Big
So good.
fan. I only saw it the one time, but I wrote a pretty extensive review on my letterbox. Again, if timing had
Oh,
been
nice.
better, I probably would have made a video about it, and maybe I still will. I don't know, but I feel like everyone's talking about this at this point, and I'm not really sure what I could contribute that hasn't already been said. It's a film that I don't know. I feel like partially when I do an analysis, my job is to give people a new perspective or to like kind of help dig
Mhm.
beneath the surface for people that have a harder time doing that or are not as used to doing that. And with this, it feels like everybody's on the same page. Like
Yeah.
it's not subtle what's going on here, you know. And I could
No,
just kind
not
of
at all.
emphasize that. I could kind of tell people the things that I liked about it, but again, like I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I loved her first film too, Coralie
Uh,
something.
Fargo, yeah.
Carjo, sure, yeah.
Farge, yeah, yeah.
It's this and Titan, and just generally
Mhm,
this new, I hope, movement of female-directed body horror films are like kind of taking the ideas, the aesthetics, and the visual language or like kind of nastiness of Cronenberg's best works and kind of like going harder with it, which I really love and really respect because like Cronenberg, his stuff goes pretty hard, but it is also kind of restrained by the time it was made and what he could get away with. And I feel like these
mhm.
two directors in particular are like, cool. let's take Crash and let's like go so much harder with it, or like cool, let's take The
Oh
Fly and
yeah.
go even harder with it, you know.
Or Society,
And this
even though it's not Cronenberg, but
Society,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I had a blast with this film. I loved it. I think it's among the best films of the year. And like, you know, I have friends who watch this and are just like, this film like changed my life, or like this finally, you know, like people who aren't as into movies as me but still into movies are just like, where has this been? Like finally somebody is speaking to my experience, you know. And that's like what's so cool and so important and so valuable about diversifying voices in not just mainstream but genre cinema too. Like there's not too many like extremely indulgent, like mid-budget, nasty body horror films made by women about women's
I
experience in the public eye. You know what I mean? Like,
can't think of any.
and
Yeah,
this, yeah, it's really cool that it exists and that um, it's been as successful as it is. I think that because it's
yeah.
not tame at all. Like I'm kind of
Oh no.
surprised it took off in the way it did, because even for me, some parts were like, oof, like this one's not for your casual fan. This one's for the freaks, you know? And I love that it's connecting with people.
And it's even getting awards attention. Like, I mean, could The
Yeah, we'll
Substance be
see.
nominated
We'll
for Best Picture?
see.
I mean, that's crazy. Yeah. So great point about and one of the criticisms is that it's too obvious, that it's, you know,
Hmm.
everything's over the top. And you know, I'm not going to argue against that. I'm okay with
Hmm.
that. I don't think
Yeah.
everything has to be, you know, presented in this like layer of mystique. Although I
Hmm.
think some things are, you know, you know, they talk, the influences are brought up a lot, and you know, there's De Palma, there's even Tarantino, I think, a little bit, and there's David Lynch, actually. I think with you know, the Quaid character, I think some of the supporting characters, there's
Hmm.
some David Lynch. But yeah, no, I just think it's a blast, and I think it's, you know, I don't want to give away the ending, but the last 30 minutes or so, and then the way it's kind of bookended, like, you know,
Hmm.
pay attention at the beginning because you'll be, it pays off at the end. You can't not pay attention. It's so alluring. So I've already watched it a second time. I've already ordered the 4K. This is one I could probably see myself
Is there a
watching
4K
another.
announced?
It just was just announced. Yeah, it's a
Oh,
movie. I
cool.
think it's coming out in
Nice.
December-ish. So I maybe
Okay,
for
yeah,
the
I'll have to scoop that at some point too.
And also Demi
Yeah.
Moore is a big part of this film, and she, you know, herself, like her celebrity, her experience, her yeah, Demi
Uh-huh.
Moore as a living human being
It's
is
it's
there.
meta in a way that isn't necessarily like self-referential, but it is there. It is absolutely a part of it, you know. Um, yeah, what a cool film. Lots that could be discussed. Maybe I
Love
will
it,
do a video just for fun, but I don't know.
yeah. Well, okay, so gone through
All right,
99 films. We went fast.
let's see.
I'm
Let's
gonna
see.
ask. I know. Let's just take a guess.
Okay,
Just
so this was my guess. This would have been my guess. I thought that this was going to be number one. I'm trying to
really
think if
okay.
there's any big ones that
There's a big one.
have been missed. Oh, Mulholland Drive.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
I
Because at the beginning I was like, well, I didn't want to say too much about it because I was like, well, Mulholland Drive to me is absolutely a horror film and
yes.
the best of the century. Like it's not close. Like this film is perfect. It is the
Yeah.
reason I love David Lynch so much. It is in my top. It's in my Letterboxd top four. Um, I don't know. This
Oh,
film
that's
is perfect,
Derek's.
and
I'm going. That's the Cinejourneys letterbox, but I'm going to myself, and look at that. My
is it
letterbox
your
top
favorite
picks.
film of all time?
It's my favorite film of all time, and I just recently made it. That I mean, I just recently realized that I keep watching
Hmm.
Mulholland Drive like every
Hmm.
year, or every 2 years, and every time I do, like it's one of those where you put on at 10 o'clock, 11, 12, you're not going to sleep until it's done.
Uh-huh.
And you're not going to sleep, even though we did a podcast, a really big podcast episode about it, and we kind of researched the history. I go back and read all that old shit again, and I just love all the conversations about it. I love it in new ways. So yeah, let
Hmm.
me just look at my Letterboxd, how many times I've watched it. Okay, there's two reviews. So one in 2024, one in 2015. Oh, yeah, and here, my review in 2015. No idea how many times I've seen this. 6, 10, but not for a while. And it blew me again all over again. It blew me away all over again. I wish it was twice as long. And then
Click on the diary. Let's see how many.
Three. Okay,
So you've
three that I
logged it 3
blogged.
times. Okay.
I've logged it 3 times. I've watched it more than that. And
Right,
then
for
my
sure.
last watch was in August, and that's when I moved it to. So I can watch this 1,000 more times and not be tired of it. That was my review. It's
That's kind
true.
of how I've only seen it twice, and I don't want to wear it out, but I also don't know that I could.
I don't
So many
think it
things to
could.
say. It has the scariest moment of any film I've ever seen in my life. It gave me like a physical reaction when I first saw it.
I think I know which one it
The
is.
most effective jump scare ever shot, in my opinion.
Was it Winkies?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Real
Okay.
good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Really good stuff.
It's it. I don't know. I don't know. I could talk about this forever. Like the
Yeah, we could do it.
under feelings on this one. It's a sapphic classic. It's just beautiful and it makes me cry. And it's among the, I don't know, like when I watched this, I just was like, oh, so this is like what this medium is capable of,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
just, yeah.
And what's crazy is it was a TV show. I mean, now a
Mhm.
David Lynch TV show is not your ordinary TV show, but like his vision for this, his original vision was not what it became. And like, I
Right.
just think that's just a tremendous creative credit to his ability is that he could take something that was intended for something else and make it so magical. But yeah, it has. So speaking of influences, Persona, Three Women, there's lots and lots
Mhm.
of films it wears on its sleeves, but it is wholly unique. And yeah, and again, talk about living another skin. I don't know what it's like to be a female. I don't like, but I think that I learned something about people through watching this film. So yeah, of course I love it. I will watch it again. In fact, I want to watch it tonight. So yeah,
Did you see the Criterion 4K?
I have the Criterion 4K. I have the Studio Canal 4K. I have I think I have two Blu-rays. Like if they release Mulholland Drive, I will buy it. It doesn't matter. One
Have you
day I will
watched the
buy an
4K yet?
implant. I have, yeah. I've watched
That
the.
looks so good. It
It
looks
does.
perfect.
In fact, so I guess I probably didn't log the Criterion 4K because I watched that. It went right in the player when it came out. And the
Mhm.
last one was the Studio Canal 4K. I think it was the same print. I mean, like I don't remember, how
Mhm.
this green looked or this red or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I think it's magical, and I'm glad you are on the same page there. So yeah, I guess you didn't hate my list.
No, we
Anything?
would have the same number one. So there's that at least for sure.
Yeah, and maybe not the same number five, but anyway, this went long. But thank you for talking to
Mhm.
me about these. I did enjoy putting this together, and I guess I do feel validated. So thank you, Celeste.
I'm glad. I'm now curious what mine would look like. I'm thinking about
All right.
maybe doing the same thing. I don't know.
Maybe we'll revisit this someday. So yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
so where can people find you? I know you took a break, but you
Mhm.
said sounds like you're going to bring your channel back.
Mhm. Yeah, should be new videos sometime this month. You can find me on YouTube and on Instagram at Celeste La Cabra. The spelling is on the screen, so you should be able to plug those words into your local search engine, and if I've done something right, it should show up. Uh, I'm also on Patreon. No pressure to support right now because I'm not doing anything, but I will be doing things again, and you get special perks like postcards are lovely, inclusive, and supportive. Discord server if you need a film community that doesn't suck. There are other places for that too, but I think I've done okay.
You've done great. Yeah.
Thank you. There would be exclusive videos too, that kind of thing. Come hang out.
And even during
Yeah.
your hiatus or your break, I think you've kept your community active. And I think you've done. So I'm a patron. I'm a big supporter
Mm,
of Celeste,
thank you.
and I haven't felt let down. Like, oh yeah, I'm not getting enough
Hmm.
Celeste. So in fact, I expected less
I'm happy to
Celeste.
hear
So
that. Well, I'm
you're
happy to hear that because I do feel bad about it, but there are people who have stuck by me, and I
yeah.
really appreciate it. So
No, you're the best. So, and I'm
thank
glad
you.
to hear, you might, resuscitate. That's probably not, well, we're talking horror films, so
Yeah.
renew, reconnect,
Hmm.
reconnected.
It's
So,
been nice to be on other people's platforms again to kind of get back into the swing of things. And then maybe I'll shoot a sort of State of the Union video and just kind of like, what the fuck are we doing now? Like, kind of
oh, yeah, would love
reassessing
that.
some things.
I mean,
And
love. So
mhm.
big air quotes
And
there.
there's videos that I shot months and months ago that I just had to sit on and are now in their final editing stages. So there
Okay.
will be videos and they'll be in the old location, but hopefully I'll get back to actually like shooting and writing and doing the thing again. Hopefully this
Well,
month, but if not, by the end of the year. Yeah.
we'll wrap up. I'll just say I'm thinking about Celeste. I want you to be
Yeah.
as happy. I
Thank
want
you.
you to be in a good place, and you have my support anytime. Yeah, whatever you want to do, we're
Well,
there for
thank
it.
you.
So, and you're welcome here
I
if you.
don't just do this for the money or whatever. I do this because I love it and because it is fulfilling to me and because I'm good at it, And so it's been
You
tough
are.
not having that for a long time, And that creative outlet and that self-expression. I've had to censor a lot of who I am for a long time now because of things going in my life, and it's thankfully we're on the other side of it. Still kind of dealing with the fallout of
Yeah,
it, but
I
it's
bet.
done. It's in the past, and I'm not going back,
Mhm.
So like it's time to focus on what I can do for myself and for this community and for other people, and what I can do is talk about weird movies in a way that perhaps creates some kind of connection and perhaps can help us process all the awful things happening right now, and be a person existing in public and asserting my right to do that and hopefully inspire others. So
I think
that's where we're at.
we would all benefit from that. So more Celeste Go cinephile community. Thank you.
Thank you indeed.
On that note, thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I really appreciate it. It's great to talk to you again.
Likewise, likewise. Yeah, it's been a while.